Good afternoon and welcome to the Board of Public Safety meeting on Wednesday, June 8th, 4 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order and we'll start with resolution to approve the minutes of the May 11th, 2022 Glens Falls Board of Public Safety meeting minutes.
I'll move.
Second.
Sorry, Zoe, how are you? I don't need to write that down. Let's see, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Request to approve the 2022 Glens Falls Symphony Independence Day Celebration and Fireworks Display to be held on July 3rd, 2022 from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Crandall Park in a manner consistent with how the event has been previously conducted. Anticipated attendance is expected between 3,000 and 5,000 people. You'll see that the application is attached, and they were able to answer the questions we had at the previous meeting to our satisfaction. They moved plans off of the basketball courts, right? So we worried about the courts, and so having stated that, do we have a motion to approve this event?
I have one question.
Yes.
Tammy brought up the position of the bus.
Yes.
So I don't know what agreement we came to on that.
Yeah.
I knew it was not gonna go on the courts,
That's correct.
but there was some discussion about putting it in front of
Yeah.
or on the side of the courts.
Where's the current plan?
So I reached out to Amy Amy Collins, and she was going to investigate. She was suggesting that it go kind of near where the antique car show goes, which is tight along Glen Street, almost near the backstop. So not on the field,
Right.
but on that edge, because she felt like that was the firmest ground that
Right.
would be
Out in the
used.
field by the softball field.
Exactly. So if
By the
that,
furrowed.
right. So
on
if
the other
that
side.
works, then that's what we will do.
Everybody.
What are you saying, along the tree line?
Yes,
So it won't block anything?
correct.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Great. Anybody else, any concerns?
I move we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see, request to approve Ethan Gaddy's Glens Falls Hospital and the Glens Falls Hospital program, the Complete Streets event to be held on July 13th, 2022 from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Estimated attendance about 60 people. Ethan was provided us the application and the areas that we all had discussed at the last meeting. Any questions, concerns? Yes, Ethan, do you want to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
If I could,
Yeah.
thanks for having us back here. I'm here with Norbel Greenberg as well. She's another Glens Falls resident
Hello.
and neighbor who's integral part of like Glens Falls.
Ethan, come on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'll get
Smile
Mike
for
here.
the
Yeah,
camera.
sorry, I don't want to
No, you're
belabor
good.
anything
You're good.
here with you
So, no,
folks.
you're
It's
good.
spent a lot of your time as it is, but there was one slight update to the application. We had looked at the possibility of including a little bit of space in City Park to set up a table or two.
Information table?
Yeah, so it was like, hey, in order to really engage the public with this, we want to make sure they know exactly what's going on.
Sure.
So we think set up some tables there, information about
Okay.
Um,
That's on the application?
that. Yep, it's on the update application. Highlighted the area of the map where that would be. Then additionally, Norvell has, took the opportunity between the previous meeting and this meeting to start doing some outreach to the affected business owners in the area. So hey, reaching out to the group saying, we're planning on doing this tentatively at this date. It could disrupt a little bit of parking spaces, only 15 in total, just to let people know the purpose of the event and what to anticipate. And we will be doing more of that upon approval of the date, just so we have some clear talking points with the property owners. And that's really, the success of the project depends on engagement and education, right? What's the point of doing a demonstration project if no one knows what it's demonstrating?
Great.
Ethan, it would be helpful if someone in a position of authority in the organization actually signed the application and hold harmless agreement.
For the, that was on the original application, the signed copy, the updated digital version, just by nature of the fact that, but yeah, I can absolutely sign that. We're not a not-for-profit organization, but.
Well, you're gonna be the insured entity though.
Yep.
So if something terrible happens, we want the insurance company that you buy the insurance from
Mm-hmm.
to protect the city of Glens Falls.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll
So
make sure that.
likewise, thank you. Well, likewise, what we will want is a real insurance policy. Now that you have the date,
Yep.
you can get that. And it's nice if they name the city as an additional insured.
Yeah, I will make sure that, I think, is it O'Brien that we have
O'Brien,
listed in there?
yeah.
Yeah, I think they've done this sort of event.
He'll know
before,
what to
so-
do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll make sure that they're listing the city as protected.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
You got estimated 60 people now. Is this by reservation?
No, it's not by reservation. I think what we'd like to do is get the word out via social media, any other outlets. It was actually really nice to have the Community Development Director, Pat Dowd, at the Complete Streets workshop that happened on Monday. And one of the things we learned about in that webinar was like, hey, get the word out to as many people. So who knows, maybe we can get some support from the city on social media, our social media accounts, and just, we're involved with some other groups like the Adirondack Cycling Advocates.
No, that's great. There's a lot of people that cycle around.
I know, yeah, I know. So that would be nice. The more people we have, the merrier. So
Good.
Great.
If you see a huge increase, just let us know. We'll have time before the next meeting anyways.
okay, yeah. If we get any
Yeah,
ideas about it.
okay.
We're also kind of dependent on the weather.
Sure,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
You
Yeah,
get lots of indications and then have it pour. So, let's see, do we have a motion to accept with the signed contract now? We've got the signed contract and then, receiving the additional insurance
Yeah, valid
certificate.
insurance policy,
Valid.
Yeah.
covering that.
Yep.
Policy.
Cool.
Do we have a motion?
I just have one other question.
Oh, yes, sir, sorry.
Do Chief Smith or Chief Schrammel, have they seen the particulars of the event, and are they okay with it?
I did, I reviewed the application and I see no issue with
Very good. Thank you.
You haven't seen it, Chief?
it. No, I haven't.
You have, no issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So do we have a motion with the contingency of receiving the insurance
Make a
certificate?
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Done deal.
Fantastic. Thank you all, and
Thank
look
you.
forward
Good
to
luck.
staying in touch and see you there.
Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, well, definitely see us there, but also, Ethan, please come afterwards and share with us your findings. It is- It is important.
Absolutely love to. Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Resolution 5, is a request to approve the Christian Leaders for Change Juneteenth celebration on Monday, June 20th, 2022, City Park at the bandstand from noon to 2 p.m. Prayers, choir, speakers, and readings. Estimated attendance will be 100 to 150 people. You'll find in your packet the attached application. Do we have any questions about the event that we can answer?
I move approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
Done deal.
Yeah, great program, great event. Request to, so I'm gonna scratch number 6 off of it because we do, in your packet is the rec commission meetings from May. Those events though that I had wanted to have you look at, they've already passed, they happen in May. So I'm gonna try to make sure that we get moving forward, like an event, it's a 5K. Now, they didn't need any support. It was approved by the rec commission, but I want to make sure that it comes in front of you so that you're aware of it and you can ask any safety related questions about these events. And so I wanted you to know that. And for now, I'm just going to remove this from it.
I think that's a very good idea because I saw this and the traffic control was non-existent.
Gotcha. Yep.
They had people in traffic.
Yeah. Yeah, we, with Amy now, head of recreation, and Chip and I helping out with the Board of Public Safety, the process and the policies, I gotta tell you, I'm learning.
Yeah.
So it's a learning process for me to identify those at the beginning of that and get it to you guys so you can see it also. We do want the rec commission to know of those events and support them for the park itself, right? So if there's an event happening at East Field, you don't need to know about it because it's happening in East Field and there's no special parking or it's not in the city streets. But if there's an event that is including like a 5K through the community, I want to make sure you get that in front of you in a timely manner. Fair enough? Thank you all. 7 is a request to discuss the installation of a pedestrian crossing sign in front of Ridge Street Rite Aid and Lawrence Street. So this is a constituent has requested this, as many school children and elderly cross there where there is no sign. This request was received by Mayor's Special Assistant Chip McTiernan. This right now is not asking you to approve anything, rather than to discuss it so that you can consider it for approval. Chiefs, do either of you familiar with that area? It says they're asking for a pedestrian crossing sign in front of Ridge Street Rite Aid and Lawrence Street. Does that ring a bell? Are those?
There's only one crosswalk in that area, right? That goes across Lawrence.
Well, I'll tell you,
Well, I think you're talking about the one across the ridge,
Yes.
which is down from Lawrence, it would be south of Lawrence. More towards the, entrance.
It's right
entrance to
there.
Rite Aid.
It's right near Lawrence,
Yeah, it's on the other side of the entrance to Rite Aid.
just around the corner.
yeah, it's right on Ridge. But coming out of Lawrence every morning, which I do, to take somebody to school, you take your life in your hands with the cars coming down Ridge and the kids trying to get across and going the other way. I think it's a great idea.
You do.
You don't have to do much of a study on that, just sit
Okay.
out there in the morning.
Fair enough. With Commissioner Stedman's thoughts, would you like to have a further discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Good deal.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Long
you.
overdue.
That's great.
Yep.
Great idea. Thank you. Under new business, I wanted to, I think we'll start with Fifth Ward Councilperson Mary Gooden. She's the chair of the Special Projects Committee. Mary, you want to come up and sit with us? During a council meeting, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, there was a special request from one of the few homes in Glens Falls that has no parking. The term being used, it was new to me, is a postage stamp property, right? It's got a house and not much else on the property. No place, no driveway, no place to really park. And this person, the landowner, or the landlord of the place, had asked for to pay for a permit to be able to park in front of this property. But at that time, several council members had not heard of that ability, and it's very not very widely known. And actually, I believe that it's is only one or two that I'm aware of that have ever given. I think it's a fee of $180 or whatever it is a year that you can park in front of your property, and that therefore we allow the police to know, and then they wouldn't ticket that person. But that seems like putting there was council people who were like, I didn't know this was available, didn't know this is ability. I don't think many people know that it's available. And we've had over the years, I being on the council and brought up again, concerns about the overnight parking law. It doesn't, if you're new to Glens Falls, or even some cases where you've been here for a long time, you wonder, what were we thinking in July that I forget to pull my car in out front of my house on Ridge Street or on Hunter Street and I get a parking ticket. And the law stands. And so instead of passing that permit, what the councilman requested is that we look at this. We look at the law to review it, to get an understanding of why the law stands, and should we adopt it? Should we amend it? And so Mary's committee has been asked to look into this. And so she came today to talk to you about that, and I wanted to set that table. That's what brought this to you. And it's wondering, do we still need it? When I look at the law, and it's in your packet, we put in your packet the parking, the different codes that address parking. And what I notice is there are it says, no parking from a certain time to a certain time. And then it says, except for this street, and this street. And then you can see where other streets have been added over the years. So certain council members or certain public members have said, yeah, it's really crazy, right? And so it's got except this street, and then this street, right? There's literally 8 amendments to it, probably made over the last 60 years. I think that I did a little, I will let Mary talk in just a moment. I want, when I spoke to the past, city clerk, Bob Curtis, he was, actually I didn't speak to Bob, I spoke to Megan, our current city clerk. And she was able to find in an old city council meeting, this quote from retired now, Bob Curtis. And he said that overnight parking from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is an effective tool to keep on the books for snow plowing and snow removal during the winter. That way, if a sudden snowstorm occurs, the city was not aware of nor did not post a snow emergency to get vehicles off the street because it's already understood that vehicles should not be on the streets. Also, he was told that many times by older members of Glens Falls police officers that nothing good happens when people are outside between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. With those who have nefarious goals in mind, it's easier to hide and dodge from police police if the vehicles adorn our streets. No vehicles equals no hiding from the police. Now this is an old quote. I just wanted you to be aware of what, as people have looked at this, what their thinking was. I can tell you that anecdotally from different council members that they too are concerned about winter. So that if this law is looked at changing, and I'd like you all to consider it along with Mary's committee, that maybe we want to make seasons, maybe that from a certain time to a certain time they would be illegal. But then that's going to be a struggle for people who have no place. There's very few. I'd say there's a dozen throughout the city where there is either no parking on a piece of property in Glens Falls and they need to go to their neighbors and try to pay for it or work out a deal, or very limited parking. Those do exist. They're not many, but they do exist. There you go. Now, thoughts, Mary?
Okay. So I have, since this parking issue has come up, I have been getting calls from constituents. And their concern is, well, many of them they have apartments. David Goodsoul, I'm sure you've heard his name. He says he's been here. But he has 50 apartments, and his apartment's on 7 Union Street. I think he said he had 7 in there. And he has to rent these apartments to people that do not have vehicles because he do not have parking for them. So he says it limits his ability to, of course, to rent to people. And
But Union Street is very narrow anyways.
Well, I know. And he has no parking, so
Where would we put 50 cars?
I don't, well, that's just Union Street. He has 50 apartments throughout the city.
Gotcha.
But
You can run across the street there from behind the,
well, I guess that is what Sally Ball does. She has many apartments in Glens Falls too. And what she does, she tries to rent to people that do not have vehicles. And the people that have vehicles, she has for the people negotiated places for them to park. And she pays them, and she knocks down their rent to help them out. She says, because, they can't afford it.
Right.
She'd lose good tenants. She said, these are good tenants. She
Mhm.
wants to keep them.
Yeah.
So, and the problem is, I'm a visionary. I like to look into the future. Glens Falls is growing. Our dynamics are growing. We've got to do something different. We've talked about even doing a trial someplace, or I didn't know that we could pay. I wasn't aware of that. So that could be an option, but they're really, it's a problem. And actually, these people that were calling me were saying that they were going to come. They're trying to get together. I told them they could even come to the council meeting or whatever and have their voices heard. But it's a real problem. I mean, they're really looking for a solution, and they're not the only ones. I mean, a lot of homeowners here. And actually, another case is we had a family adults moved from downstate here. They bought a home here, the realtor, they bought a home, 4 adults, 4 cars. What they did not realize here is that they didn't have enough parking for the 4 cars for the place that they bought. They were parking on the street, but what they didn't realize was it was not like downstate. You can't park here on the street overnight. So, and they were not told by the realtor. So, you know, they're like, well, what can we do? What can we do? I was like, well, I'll get back to you.
Have you had
So-
anybody speak in favor of it?
No.
No. Okay, I've had just one who's a local runner who runs and met me in front of my house abruptly at 8 a.m. one day and wanted to let me know that he thinks it's the more cars on the street, the more dangerous it is for people biking and running. Although I've not heard that concern from other people, I just wanted you to know one person did say to me they'd prefer we keep them off the street. Chief, could you weigh in? Do you believe that parking on the streets in today's world or today's city of Glens Falls and your department, do you feel that limiting on-street parking makes your streets safer to patrol?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that.
Okay.
I believe the only concern that I can see is the snow removal.
Yeah.
And they were
Sure.
very understanding of that. Now that they were,
Yeah.
that's no thing.
But the safety to the officers or people that are out at that hour, having cars there really doesn't.
It's not gonna change it,
I
right?
don't believe so, no.
Yeah. I kind of believe that the statements that were made were days when police officers were truly just on foot.
Sure.
Right?
Without
And
lights,
maybe
without-
then it might have had one, right? The days my grandfather was the
Correct.
chief, right? Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of concerns.
Sure.
We effectively do not enforce the requirement to keep sidewalks clean. So what happens is the sidewalks become, to some extent, impassable, and kids will walk to school. It's a walking school district, and they walk in the street. If you have cars in the street, they walk farther out in the street. So what we're doing effectively is putting school kids in the driving lanes by letting cars park on the street. The other problem we get is that the streets get narrow in the winter because we can't really cut back all the banks every time it snows. So the cars will be parking farther and farther out into the driving lanes, making safety and access for fire equipment more questionable.
Mhm.
The third thing is, how much will it cost us to put up the forest of signs we're going to need to tell people how to park? If you go to Schenectady or Troy or Albany, you got signs and signs and signs saying don't park here on Tuesday, but park there on Wednesday, cross the street when it's snowing, odd days, even days. We got a lot of streets in this city, we're gonna need a lot of signs. It's gonna be a lot of money.
So let me,
Right.
thank you for speaking up. So Mary, if you can take some notes Commissioner Seidel talks about, concerns in the winter about, well, we have some struggles with our sidewalks, so this would only compound that. So any law that you might look at might have some allocations for winter as opposed to summer, right? So there's one. And then the other would be what could be the costs of this parking change if we were to make one, right? And I can get you that information. You'd like those things considered.
Yeah, you gotta figure one sign on each side of each block. We got a lot of streets. And we'll lose money too because of parking tickets. So I don't know how much of our parking ticket revenue comes from overnight parking violations, but some of it does, obviously.
So those are great. Let's look at it. We can get back to you with some information about how many and things like that. Sure.
If they pay have we had people pay the $180, you know?
Yes, I think only 2 or 3. because I don't think most people know about it.
So-
Which was what our
I don't
original,
either.
one of our council members,
They-
it's not well known.
No, I
It's
just
on
wondered-
purposely, I believe. It's not well known,
That's
but if you
fine.
called and said, hey, I've got no place, and you asked the right question to the right person, they might go, okay, well, you can ask for a special permit. I'm being upfront with you. I think
Yeah.
But
that's it.
even a special permit does not pertain in the wintertime, is that
Well,
correct?
this is what I was just gonna ask, what
Yeah.
happens in the wintertime with this?
Does that special permit
I
pertain
don't
to
even
the
know if you
wintertime,
know
would
about
it,
it.
chief?
I didn't know there was a special.
Okay, I didn't either.
Well, that's what-
So-
I remember, that I was at the meeting, the gentleman came here about trying to get the thing where his property is, because across the street, he couldn't park, the person that owned the parking lot across the street
Right.
was not.
He's in a tough bind, I mean, that,
And he said at that time, there was one other property he knew of, it was over by Hunter Street. It was a pocket thing, and they had paid the thing, and that's what he wanted to get one for his tenant. Then I remember that meeting was like 3 months ago here.
but he also.
Maybe-
Yes,
maybe 2 months
That's
ago.
right, and that was with Mr. Gerard, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's that, so what happened is, we tabled that, we did not approve the permit because the request was to have the special projects committee look at the law and speak to you folks and to try to understand what changes might be made. Instead, what I did is I called our chief and we asked for that particular property, that area, to not be ticketed until we could figure out how to move forward. I just postponed it. I didn't want to penalize the person I appreciate that you approved that, but we just tabled it. And then I stopped them from getting tickets until we could figure out what was the right path forward. And I think that we've discovered just kind of like that our chief wasn't aware. I don't think most people were aware. I know our council wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. I think it's the first time we've had that special
I don't think
request.
it was brought up at that meeting that day by
Yeah.
Mr. Gerard.
Yeah, that's right. So,
And
no, yeah, it's, again, I think
It's
that
not-
it's maybe once or twice in the entire, I couldn't find it. I looked for it too. But what I did find in the code was several pages of exceptions, or not pages, but paragraphs. So it's no parking, but these two streets don't apply to that. And then these two streets, and you could almost see, I'm making a little assumption here, but that over the years, they'd say, except we need an exception for this street. In one cases, it was an exception of a property of a loading dock instead of 229 Glen. I thought, where is that, right? And literally, probably 40 years ago, they needed access to that property and needed to be able to park there. And so the council said, yes, let's give you that approval. So what we're kind of thinking though is there, let's see, any other concerns or questions that what we'll do is have Mary and the committee start to look at this and think of these things and then come back and speak to you again and say, this is what they're thinking, and then let you poke holes in it regarding safety and
fair.
procedure.
Yeah,
Fair
it's a good
enough?
idea. I rented an apartment once that, I was made aware there was no parking place. I was in my 20s too. So I found a business around the corner, a block away total. I paid him, I forget, probably $10 a month back then. It was a little bit of a walk, but it wasn't that difficult.
Solved it.
But I can't say that's gonna happen in every neighborhood.
Right.
No.
There'll be
and-
a available business who will allow.
Will allow that.
Yeah.
I do want to make one more thing that would allow, depending on how long it takes, the city is for downtown, contracting a parking study for downtown. That parking study will have two major focuses. One is potential locations for a parking garage. Elm Street being one, but many other areas will let the company assess and evaluate, say, give a scale of 1 to 5 on what they suggest would be the best places for a parking garage or a transportation hub. So that's being done. Second, in my conversations with business leaders about the Elm Street proposal of the Elm Street lot, there was a business owner who made a very good statement, or a very He said that the parking that we have is poorly utilized in downtown, and that we charge for parking in the most undesirable parking spots, and we have free parking in the most desirable parking spots. So you can park on Glen Street for free, and we don't have time or the resources to ticket you if you stay longer than 2 hours, but yet we charge parking in the parking garage instead of the exact opposite. We almost have, by default, the opposite of a parking plan, right? And so we will have this company that's going to do this parking study, do an assessment of these areas. And to help with that, by the end of this month, we should have 150 parking sensors that we paid for when we paid for our LED streetlights. We paid for 150 sensors, and we're going to put them in our most desirable parking spots without charging anything on Glen Street, Ridge Street, and Maple. And we actually have a few others, so it's just in the most heavily parking spots, some on South. Thank you, Ben. And so what we're going to do is just collect data. What I think it's going to show is that a lot of people come in at 8 o'clock in the morning and they're working at a store and they're parking there all day, which is the exact opposite of what you want. So I think that information will help you as well, because utilization of parking is a key to this, right? And to thinking about how we can move forward as a community. That would only really address, though, downtown for this moment. And I think that looking at this law really needs to think about the neighborhoods, yes, and downtown as well. But certainly the evaluation, the study is only going to look at the downtown area. But I think we all know that there are needs for more parking, and Glens Falls is growing.
Yes.
The residential market, the homes are selling. It's probably just the only person who's reached out to us that bought a home and realized, oh my goodness, I don't have enough spaces for the people that are currently living in this home. So if you're...
That was the realtor too.
Yes.
In that particular
That's right.
case.
Mhm.
So is everybody okay with the intent of having
Yeah.
Mary and her committee look at
Yes,
this,
yes.
and then come back to you for, again, I like the idea of you guys poking
Yeah, me
holes
too, please.
in the thinking to
Thank you.
help keep us on
Right.
the right track. And winter certainly is something that's got to be considered.
Absolutely.
I don't know that you solve the problem if you say no parking all winter long. Glens Falls can have quite long, they sometimes seem to last 8 months to me. I think that we need to think of something, because we will have a problem with plowing, and it will become an enforcement issue, and we need to think of that too.
Are we including our DPW folks into this discussion, I hope?
They will.
Yeah.
They will.
We need to.
Absolutely.
And I think their input might be very important.
Absolutely. Yep. And it
Because I
is
think
now.
the staff has been downsized
It
a little
is.
bit over
So,
the years.
yes.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
The equipment is better now, and the equipment is smaller and can fit into spaces that it wouldn't fit into before.
Yeah.
That was Tom's point of view on that.
Yeah, yep, so we will though, we bring him in as, again, I think that we need to, as Mary and the committee start to come up with some suggestions, I think showing it to a wide group of people to say, did you think about this? And you go, oh,
Right.
no, I didn't, right? So I think that it's gonna be good to do that and then adjust as we go. Great,
Very good.
thank you for the cost, I had not thought of that, but it clearly would be a significant cost if we were to do parking on one side of the street for certain days or something. We certainly know of communities and cities that do that, so we've gotta consider that in with this. I don't think we should walk away from the task though, because there might be a cost there, right? I think we might need to plan for it, right? But I think we should not, it would be irresponsible to not look at it. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Mary.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thanks, Mary.
Appreciate it.
brought up 3 great points. Thank you. You did.
So next I had under new business was a discussion of updating the public safety special event fee schedule. Chief Schrammel was kind enough to bring us Saratoga City's fee schedule. Chief, would you like to talk to us a little bit about this? This is just a discussion. I need to bring, so I wanted Chief to be able to talk to you about it, but I also the event schedule and the applications are something that right now are also part of the recreation staff and stuff. So if we had a discussion, I'd like to just have the discussion about it and what we think, and then work together and bring you back a proposal that you could approve or not.
Just to give everybody a brief overview, this actually came up when we rewrote the city charter for building the codes. So what we did when we did that is rather than putting the fees in the code, so right now if you open up any chapter in the code, that's where your fee schedules are. It makes it very difficult to update those because every time you need to open and change the code, you have to have a public hearing and go through the whole process of opening the code and changing the law. So kind of a forward thinking is what other cities have done, other municipalities have done, is they remove the codes from those areas and they actually put, or excuse me, the fees from the code, and they actually put the fees in a fee schedule, which allows you to refer to the fee schedule. So as per fee schedule, you know, to see the fee schedule. So rather than rewriting the code every time we have a change in fees, we can actually just, on an annual basis, the common council and the mayor, they review the city code and they also review the fee schedules. And if the fee schedules need to be changed, they have one public hearing, they can change all the fee schedules no matter what they're for. Some things we do not have fee schedules for right now, so it's kind of done on a need basis, is for fire apparatus, ambulances, fire personnel, standbys, police car, if somebody needs a police car or a police standby for crossing or things like that. So those are done on a need basis, rather than being able to somebody to file an application and say if you need an engine that scene, or if you need an ambulance, or if you need 2 patrol cars, they can see the fee schedule prior to filling out the application, and those fees are standardized across the board. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, is pretty much trying to remove the codes, remove the fees from the codes, have it so there's one place for all the fees, and that way when somebody does file an application or is looking for fees for something, they're all located in one place.
Perfect.
Just makes
That's
more
good.
sense.
Good.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from, and it's just kind of the next step in getting there.
Good.
Great. Yeah, and that's, what I was thinking is that a lot of times we're waiving fees, but we still are barriers, put up barriers. We pay DPW to come in to pull, putting up a barrier, paying somebody overtime on a Saturday to come in to remove those barriers. So we're gonna take an assessment of those and put those fees right along with it. So then they
And
can
the-
say we need stuff and we don't need stuff.
You're gonna add it into this code. this-
We actually won't put it in the code, we'll have a separate fee schedule
Right.
and remove the prices from the code. That would be the step, if you agree. We'll come back to you with a form that has all the list of the fees, and then pull the fees out of our code. So anytime we want to adjust the code, we can, but that's not nearly as easy as adjusting. We can adjust the fee schedule every year, we can look. If we're paying that much more, then we know. Fair enough?
It's a smart approach.
Great idea.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, can we talk about the new appointments under your,
Sure.
under new business?
We can. Oh, I want me to- I have-
Or do it- or maybe under your report?
Either way.
Let's do it under your report.
Okay.
So, next would be old business, Central Avenue fence update. I don't know that I have an update. Do you, Chief, by chance?
Last I knew, a violation was issued. Last I knew, it did not go to court, and I checked after our last meeting, so it still has not gone to court. As far as I know, the fence is still there, and it has not made its way to court yet.
Great. So that is the update. So we're waiting for them to make it into court and see what the judge thinks. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
make a motion to, wait a minute,
Accept.
that wasn't his approval.
No, that
It wasn't-
wasn't.
I'm
not
sorry.
report. So now we'll just go to Chief Smith's report, please.
Better have it myself. Right.
So I don't have much for anything tonight, which is good. The only update I have is on the crossing at Glen Street in Stanford. I met with Aaron Frankenfeld late last week, and they and also the company that is going to complete the study. This week, actually next week, they're going to be putting out the cameras to start collecting data. They're gonna put it out for 24 to 48 hours, so they can collect data on that and then advise us what their findings are for that crossing.
This is the Creighton Manning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The study that,
Creighton
Yeah.
Manning.
That's one of the
Yes.
things, yes.
Yep.
But it was the other company.
that
yeah,
was
the
one of the
Barton-
two. Barton
and-
LaJudas is the one we
is-
went with.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
okay.
Yep, there were
Fine.
two that I presented to you.
Yep.
We chose Barton and LaJudas, and found out that I actually asked you to help us pay for it, and it was taken care of by, Aaron Frankenfeld in AGFT.
Thank you. I
So-
just wanted to clarify which firm we went with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So they'll have that data, as soon as they collect the cameras back and analyze it, and then they'll move forward with, what the city wants to do based off the data that they
Great.
collect.
Thank you,
That's all I
Chief.
have.
That's it?
That's it.
That's great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Chief Schrammel.
Okay, this is the real one.
Okay, everybody knows, and we spoke about it during, we were doing interviews, that actually Assistant Chief Center is officially retired now. So we made appointments during 2 interview sessions. But the thing is, they were not official meetings, so we're gonna have to retouch on actually making those appointments official. So that's just something, formality we're gonna have to go through, is the board. So I wrote down the ones you promoted first, second, third, and fourth, so we can go through those, the positions, and then we're just gonna have, somebody's gonna have to nominate, go through this process just as we did during those meetings. So just to clean that up, we can do that.
Sure.
And then all I have beside that is, we had a fire the other day. We didn't get a lot of people on the recall, so we were short quite a few people. We did a lot of work with 10 people, and that was the Maple Street fire. I don't know if anybody was aware of that.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good job, pretty big building. We did the guys did a great job with the number of people we had showing up there. So that's just a tribute to having a department with a quick response time and getting there and being able to do that with the manpower we had.
Yeah,
So-
looks great, I mean, for a fire, it looks great. They stopped it before it really knocked the whole building out. It's amazing work. Thank
So, and of course, time of day also helps a lot, so get those early, they could have been a whole different story, it gets 2 o'clock in the morning, so, those things help us also. So, so what we have, for as far as the promotions, so, the first one that was actually recommended and voted on during the meeting was, Douglas Hall, promotion to provisional captain.
Do you have a motion to approve this promotion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next one was Craig Basque, promotion to provisional captain.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Promote provisionally Douglas Basque to captain.
Captain.
Okay.
Second, and second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
The next one was firefighter Matthew Fogarty, promotion to lieutenant.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one is firefighter Tom Vinson, promotion to lieutenant.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those gentlemen will be starting with new positions this Sunday.
Fantastic.
So all the paperwork's ready to go up to the county, 426s are all done, so I'm all ready to go with that. They'll take effect this Sunday, so everybody's aware.
Now,
And that's all I have.
you said Thompson has officially,
Yes, yep. He was very early, last month, so, since our last meeting, so.
does that mean now we've got to do a third one?
No, that would be, we do have another one that's a pending, but I have not received a letter
Okay,
for
yeah,
him
right.
announcing his retirement. So, once that occurs, I'll come back to the board and we'll discuss that.
Thank you, Chief. Motion
Thank you,
to
Chief.
accept Chief's report.
Also move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so I don't believe we need to go into executive session today. And so, could I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, yes, sir, Ben. You want to come up?
Yeah.
Welcome. This is Councilman Lappin. Fourth ward?
Fourth Ward. So, I don't believe I've met most of you, so I'm Ben Lapham, I'm the councilman in the Fourth Ward. I had a couple of things that I sent to Chip, but I guess didn't make it to the agenda. So, one thing is for special projects. This was from meetings before Mary took over. We're working on the taxi cab section of the law, and Jim Clark had said that from carrying over from the previous session, that he had forwarded along a list of streets for proposed taxi cab stands to the commission, and we haven't heard anything back, so I was wondering where that was, if I needed to resend that or what.
I don't recall seeing a distinct proposal.
Okay,
I heard the concept.
okay.
So,
So,
a
there
lot of
was,
information about the history of what we've done previously.
okay, so Jim had said that he'd sent a specific list of the streets that were existing. And, so this is, so I can forward along what the proposed, where we're at right now with it.
Sure.
And what we're looking for. And then also, I was happy to hear Chief Schrammel talk about moving stuff out of the code for specific prices and putting them into a fee schedule. That's the same thing we want to do with the taxi cab.
Oh, good.
So, okay, so that's one thing.
Yeah, so what I'll do is make sure that we get you, you make a note, Zoe, to put that back on it, so if Ben sends you guys the work they've done, you could, you're set, ready for a resolution? Are you set for the Board of Public Safety to actually?
I think right now, we were stopped on the Special Projects Committee waiting for this feedback. And so I've got to follow up with Jim Clark.
All right,
He
so
was
we-
making it sound like this has already been passed off. But
Okay.
maybe he perceived it was, but had not.
So we can at least get it on the agenda for next time and let you.
Yeah, and I
review it.
can follow up next time too, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have that information over so everybody has a chance to review and cogitate on it. Another thing I was I was walking around the high school and I noticed the deterioration of the sidewalks around the high school.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and I asked the superintendent, the outgoing superintendent, although he didn't seem very outgoing, so he seemed more taciturn. He said that, bring it to the Public Commission Board. So I'm not sure exactly where this is supposed to fall, and maybe it's like,
Sidewalks?
yeah, the sidewalks.
Yeah, but I mean, they need repair.
It's
You're
not
talking about,
in the assessment.
Quaid Street in particular?
Yeah, Quaid Street and along Sherman.
Where there is none, or where?
That's where there actually is sidewalks,
Okay.
along the back end and along part of Grant. There is no sidewalks.
The northwest end of Quaid is terrible.
Yeah.
It's hazardous.
It's striking, and it's a walking school district, so.
But I had the impression there's a schedule for sidewalks to be refurbished, so
There is.
I never said anything about that,
No.
because I didn't know if it was on your schedule or not.
Yeah, so I'll send you the schedule, that's going out today, actually, to everybody, to the council members, and then so what we did is I sent the DPW to assess both streets and sidewalks. We also asked council members to make lists of their biggest concerns, and some though weren't added on, but you can add them on, so we'll make sure they're on there.
Okay.
We'll make sure that we look at them, and I can tell you why or why not, right? But I can't guarantee every sidewalk's gonna be done, but they definitely need to be recognized and put in the consideration.
Well, I should think the school district, if it's number 3, should maybe be upgraded for their, it's our children that are going there.
Yeah.
And if one of them falls or trips on that sidewalk,
It's gonna make us all look bad.
Okay,
Agreed.
it's worth looking at, absolutely.
Okay, and, this is just kind of incidental, because somebody also had mentioned the crosswalk issue. I had a constituent, actually one of Mary's constituents, as I was going for a run, and I was coming up Murray Street Hill, and somebody said, was pushing a stroller, and goes, there really should be a crosswalk across here, from across Murray Street and right where Mohican comes in, there's no crosswalk over there. So
Right.
that's just,
Well, we know that there's a grant right now that we're working
Yeah.
on that's out to engineering that would have both a bike lane and a new sidewalk down Murray and the bike lane starts over on Hudson, right? And then
Right.
comes across. So, I certainly, when I send you that, if you
Yeah.
wanna remind me of the
yeah, absolutely.
the crosswalk would normally be yours, but why don't we at least look and see what we're doing with paving before you make a suggestion of adding crosswalk? It might be on it
Sure.
already. Don't wanna, if it's paid for by the grant, we wanna let it be paid for by the grant. Okay?
Okay, that's all I had.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody else has anything further? If not, could we have a motion to adjourn?
Also move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.